Lee Hall Depot was built between 1881 and well, actually it was finished in 1881 in time for the centennial of the Revolutionary War, in the Revolutionary War centennial in Yorktown. There was a dummy track that was laid from here to Yorktown that was used for that celebration in Yorktown. So passengers came through here on their way to Yorktown in 1881, but soon after that track was dismantled. But Lee Hall Depot has been here ever since. Of course, the railroad first came through this area for coal, to get the coal down to the port of Newport News, and then loaded onto ships for transportation all over the world. But then passenger travel, of course, soon followed. Really the station remained active from 1881 all the way through the 20th century. World War I saw a huge influx of passengers, and as well as World War II, just because this was the closest station to what was then Camp Eustis. And so numerous civilians and soldiers passed through here during both wars. Lee Hall Depot was also used for shipping goods back in the day before UPS and FedEx. The depot would have received packages and sent out packages. So anytime you received a package or had something to send out, you would have come to the depot to get that. Everything from live animals such as chickens and kittens and everything else, apples, produce. We have an exhibit actually that shows a number of the things that were shipped in and out of the station. The station itself is a simple country station. It is located in the northernest region of what was then Warwick County. Before the city of Newport News was incorporated in the mid-20th century, this area was known as Warwick County. At one time, there were several stations in Warwick County all the way down to the main station in Newport News. Again, rail was, before the era of the automobile, rail was really one of the only ways to travel, convenient ways to travel to get from point A to point B before everyone owned automobiles. The Lee Hall Village actually sprang up around the depot after the depot was built. There was a general store here, an inn, a post office, gas station. I think there was even a small car dealership here, several small factories. So it really was a bustling place by the early 20th century. It was called Lee Hall Village after Lee Hall Mansion just down the road. So this was a bustling crossroads until about the 1950s. When, of course, by then the automobile had become more common. More people could afford to buy the automobile. Rail travel was less popular. The station itself stopped serving passengers in 1970. I think for several years afterwards, one could, if one had a ticket, they could still come to the station, not enter the station, but still come to the station and kind of flag down the Amtrak and board the train, but the station itself was closed by that point. The station was originally located on the other side of the railroad tracks from where it is positioned now. And when the city of Newport News acquired the station, CXX, which was the huge freight railroad that owned the station by then, they just said that if the city wanted to preserve the building, it had to be moved further away from the active rail lines. And so the building was moved in 2009 to across the tracks to the location where it is now. And one other thing is this station is unusual in that it has an apartment upstairs. Someone actually lived here, a station master and his wife lived here for several years in the 20th century, and other people probably lived here as well. Most importantly, the station master, whoever was serving as the station master of the time. Because this was a rural area when the station was built, so the C&O Railroad, the company that built the station, thought that in order to attract a station master, they'd better have lodging and a home for the station master to stay in. And so today we do have the apartment upstairs accessible. It's furnished as a 1940s apartment would have been furnished back in the day. The station itself, it follows the standard C&O railroad construction patterns. We have several of the original stoves that would have been used to heat the building with, coal-fired stoves. We also have tried to match the original paint colors, the yellow exterior and the green interior. And then today we do just have kind of what the average person would see when they came into the station, as far as the telegraph office, the station master's office, the Railroad Express office, which would have been the shipping office, the freight room where freight would have been stored, either coming in or leaving, as well as the ticket office, of course, and the waiting rooms, or what some of the rooms people can see when they come into the building today.
So this area that we're in, it's a historically haunted area. Right across the street we have the Boxwood Inn, which is very haunted. Right down the street we have Lee Hall Mansion, which has several ghost stories associated with it. Now, as far as a train depot, a place like this, I remember years ago, probably about 7 years ago, we did an investigation across the street. And I heard say of some strange things that would happen at the train station that they'd see at night, that visitors to the Boxwood Inn would see at night. Sometimes it would be lights coming on, or the chatter of people. It would sound like there was a crowd over here, and it would be just a vacant building. This is the kind of place that would hold a lot of energy. You see, it's been here through World War I, World War II, so we have several people coming through, soldiers coming through. We have people saying goodbye to their loved ones. So this was a place where there was a lot of emotion, and at the very least it would make sense that there's some residual activity here. Now, no one has investigated this place before, so we don't know if the spirits that potentially linger here are intelligent or they are residual, but tonight we're here to investigate this place for the first time ever and find out what answers we may get from beyond.
Anytime we come into a place like this where nobody else has investigated, and certainly if it's the first time I've ever been into the place, I like to go and sort of do a walk around. I like to get a feel for the place, a feel for the energy in a place. After doing this investigations for so many years, you sort of get this feel for what feels different in one room than it does in another. And I have to say that, you know, this room in particular is one that felt a little bit different than the room that we walked into. I'm going to walk around, get a feel for the place. So this room, despite the fact that it's the emptiest one, it has a lot of movement. I feel like large amounts of people crowded in here and a lot of movement here, more so than I did in the first room that we walked into where the door is. Set up. That's cool. Pretty. Look how cute it is.
It is a little privy.
I thought I had a small bathroom.
I don't know about this window here, though.
I think that's why the shade is there, so you can pull down the shade.
Ah, that makes sense.
I think the regular bathrooms are actually cute. So I'm not real sure whether what I'm feeling has to do with the corridor here. But the second that I start walking up this corridor, I start to get that sort of dizzy feeling, that feeling like that I get usually when something is around. And this room in particular has that heavy feeling to it. Not an intense feeling like I felt in some places, but certainly a significant amount, enough for me to say, okay, this room here feels very different than some of the rest of them. And that feeling goes away the second that I come in here and walk up that ramp. See what's in here. Ooh. obviously cargo. Like things that are being shipped out. So this room here doesn't have the room like the feel of a lot of people. It has a feel of maybe one individual that worked here for a long period of time. Maybe a couple, but there was one older man, it feels like, that worked here in particular. Yeah. I love these floors. Look at the I love the floor is settled and the stairs are all wonky. It's neat. This is children running up and down this hallway. Well, it's certainly a small area. I mean, it's much smaller than you would think of as a modern apartment would be, but it's cozy. I kind of like it. It doesn't have a bad feeling. Really, nothing in here has a bad feeling, but there's definitely more of a feeling of being lived in up here than there was downstairs. Downstairs, it was just all this movement, but here it's a little more cozy.
So we're going to be walking through here doing a baseline sweep, and I'm going to be using two pieces of equipment here to compare. One is the tri-field meter, the other one is the K2 meter. Both of them measure electromagnetic fields. Now I got to point out that right at the beginning here, they're already lit up. This is at an 8, okay? And this is barely lit up. Which is strange because usually the K2 meter lights up more. It seems to be more sensitive. But as we're going back here, let's see if we can pinpoint this. 9.
These pot lights, the recessed lighting in the ceiling give off a lot of EMFs. Could potentially be that.
But what's significant about this, there were 10, 11, 12. So 3 milligauss, it measures in milligauss. 3 is what a refrigerator will typically give off. Anything 3 or above is significant in that theoretically it can give spirits the energy that they need to manifest. So theoretically speaking, in a location like this with this high of a field, this room would be a perfect place for them to manifest. Let's go through and see if they stay this high. Here, well, I'll pass one off to you there. We'll compare. Again, it's spiking up a little bit coming in the doorway here.
One of the higher gets the hill. Steadily climbing going this way. Oh, now it's coming back down. It's like right in here. It's like a 9.0.
Could it maybe have to do with the things that are up in the ceiling there? It looks like a smoke detector and...
Smoke detector wouldn't give that off. That just runs off
No,
like
but a couple of other odd little things, lights and things up there.
Could be.
That says charge. I don't know what that is. So right now the tri-field meter is at a 7.4 milligauss. As I go down, it starts to pick up more and more as you get down to the bottom.
And just to show the lights aren't, when we turn the lights off, it's still doing that.
And then as you go back up, it picks back up again. But it gets all the way down to a 12.
So the field at its height is down low. Yep. There we go. Down low and up high.
Yep.
That's the field. And it is significant in the middle, but it's especially strong down low and up high. All right, so we're coming upstairs here to see what it looks like up above where we got the readings downstairs. And it's interesting because right here, here's where it should be going crazy and it's not.
But I have an idea. If you take your K2 meter, put it up against this door, see if it lights up.
It does.
And that's where we're getting that reading. So I wonder what's on the other side.
That door goes outside.
Oh, what about right here?
I think right here would have to be above where we got that, wouldn't it?
Oh, you see that? It jumped up to 17.
What's pretty cool is I don't know if you can hear it because of the mic that I'm talking through. We got a train going by right now. And you wonder what kind of activity that might stir up, because railroad tracks, they're believed to be a conduit of paranormal activity. Plus, with any visitors that might be here waiting for the train, perhaps they get up from their seats thinking it's coming into the station. Who knows? But we finished up our baseline suite, and we definitely have some significant levels in the front part of the building. Perhaps the perfect place for spirits to manifest, for them to have the energy they need to communicate with us. There was one interesting thing to note. When I was upstairs going down the hallway, I got one stray spike on the K2 meter. It was there for a moment and then it was gone. So I moved the K2 meter over a little bit, it spiked one more time and it was gone. And these are the kind of things that we look for, because sometimes when you see stray EMF fields, it's coming from a wireless router, a Wi-Fi router or something like that. Now we definitely have to inquire to see if there's anything of that sort in that area, but that was it. I got the camera, I said watch this, and once I started recording I couldn't get it again. So it was like there was something that was there, it moved, and then it was gone. And it's interesting to note these because it's not a steady field. A constant steady field is most likely from natural elements like the air conditioner or refrigerator, appliances, whatever's going. But when you get one that's there and then gone and then it seems to move, that's questionable.
So far, I think this is an amazing place. There's so much history here. Every time we're looking around trying to find a spike in the EMF detector, I'm having to stop and look and read up on the history of this place. It's probably one of the coolest places that we've been to as far as history goes. Living in Hampton all my life, coming over here to Newport News and constantly seeing this historic building, it's really awesome to be able to come in and actually do an investigation at the place that you've always driven past. So it's kind of cool to be able to check out a really neat local history place.
Yeah, this thing is just pinged out all the way like you said, so probably not even be able to use that.
That would be a good spot for this.
So put it up here maybe. No, still.
Is it motion?
Well, it's not motion, it's
Yes or no?
Okay. There we
Okay.
go. Yeah, it's one of those.
So we're going to set up right here in the main waiting area. As you mentioned, back before desegregation, this waiting room was segregated. So this was the African American side, the other side was for the whites. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up here, and like I said, this is a place where a lot of voices could still linger on. A lot of emotions were shared here. A lot of people said goodbye to their loved ones, perhaps for the last time. We have a REM pod here in the middle of the floor. And the REM pod, it gives off electromagnetic field. So if anything comes near it and breaks that field, the light will change color and the pitch will change the closer it gets. We can also adjust the sensitivity on that. We have the digital voice recorder going, And what we're doing is we're going to try to get a solid EVP. And an EVP is something that's cool because, in my opinion, it's not really disputable. If you hear a voice that comes through on this recorder when no one in this room says anything, you got some pretty solid evidence. So that's what we're going to be looking for at first. And Will, do you just want to kind of describe that device that you have right there?
Sure can. So this device right here, this is a thing from Ghost Stop. So what it does, once it gets settled in, you can basically come close to either side, just like a REM pod, except you can get more than one response. You can get a yes or no. So for instance, if I bring my hand close to that side, it'll turn red. Bring my hand close to that side, it'll turn green. So if I ask, have you ever lived here? Were you a family member that lived here? Yes for green or red for no. We can ask very specific historical questions to the people that may have lived here or the people that may have come through here and try to figure out more exactly who it is that we're speaking with.
When we do this portion right here, we're going to turn the lights out. And the reason that is because we want this place like it is when any potential activity happens. And if people were seeing figures in here and seeing the lights turn on, this was in the middle of the night, this was a time when the lights would have been off, so we just want to kind of recreate that setting. So let's go into blackout mode and do this EVP session. Okay, one thing we're going to do is say our names when we start off. If anyone talks, make sure you talk in a normal voice or tag your whisper. I'm Jeff.
I'm Linda.
And I'm Will.
And aside from the three of us, we'd like to know if there's anybody else here with us. Before we get an answer from you, let me tell you why we're here. We're here because we want to know if there's anything we can do to help you. If there's anything particular that you're looking for or any message that you have that you want to get across, and perhaps you've never had the opportunity to do that, we're here to listen. So you can touch any of those devices on the floor and the lights will change color. You can test it out if you want to, or you can just try talking to us.
My name is Will. What is your name?
Where are you traveling to?
Do you work for CNO?
What was that?
This thing just popped.
The bench?
Fancy on, yeah.
Oh. Why don't you ask that question again, Will, just one more time?
Do you work for CNO?
It's a strange sort of tickling on my right forearm. Almost like spiderwebby kind of feeling, or like somebody touching it very, very gently right here.
Why are you touching Linda's arm? We can't see you, so you'd have to describe yourself. Are you a man?
So we've come into the station master and telegraph office, and in here you can see some of the equipment set up. Kind of a cool place. They have some displays that talk about what the people would have done in their jobs, and so we brought the digital voice recorder in here, and I have one sitting over on the chair, this little small chair over here, and Will has his set over here. And we've also brought the REM pod that you can see on the floor over there. And we have one of those little light up balls that's actually a cat toy, but they use them for ghost hunting. So we're going to see if we can get any activity on that, because some people seem to like that thing. The spirits seem to like to mess with it and make it light up. And certainly the REM pod, we're interested in getting some sort of activity on that as well.
All right, so we got this cat ball on the floor here, and just the slightest tap will make it kind of light up like that. So come and get it, Chessie. I would like to send a telegraph. Is there anybody here that might be able to help me do that?
We have a truck going by outside.
And a bird.
Yes, relentless bird. Some sort of noise in the other part of the building.
Did you just move your feet?
I don't think so. I mean, not making noise, moving my feet.
It sounded like there's something over in your direction.
I heard it from there, down the hallway.
Oh, it could have been, because the
Alright.
hallway's right to my left, so coming out of there it would have been the same
Yeah,
direction.
but it sounded like it was in the freight room.
Kind of
Like it was far away.
like a rust, like a footstep
Yeah,
kind of.
Yeah.
Oh,
Was that when you
that had to be me, right?
Yeah, could have been.
Is it that sensitive?
I don't know.
There's no way.
I mean,
Wait
I
for it to
could see
stop
the
and do that again.
floors, yeah.
I mean, I didn't. We can try it again. Let's see. So,
No.
No. That was,
like, I can jump up and down,
and it's
Wow.
not setting that thing off.
and that thing's not going off. So,
No, that was definitely something.
yeah.
Besides you. There it goes again.
Look at that.
Moving.
All right. So, if you like lights, this thing with the red light on it, if you touch that, you can use that to talk to us. You can use it to tell us yes or no to questions. Maybe let us know if there's somebody that you have a message for. Can I talk to the station manager? Or the station master? What's his name?
Can you go near that red light? You may have seen if you go near the red light, the light will change colors. And the tone will change. Can you try doing that for us?
I'm walking. I'm gonna step back into this area because there are some strange sounds coming out of here. And I want to determine if it's something coming from outside or it's actually something in here.
Yeah. Did you work in this office? There's the cat wall again.
I see it. Maybe you'd like to use that cat ball to communicate with us. Would you like to do that?
If the answer is yes, then make the cat ball light up again. If the answer is no, then you can leave it alone. Are you willing to communicate with us, to talk to us? If the answer is yes, here we go. Thank you very much.
So when we get a possible response like that, we just want to ask a clarifying question. Wow. So it's seeming to go off at random. This is a good opportunity though. Here comes the train. Is that your train? Is that what you're waiting for?
That was a short train.
That was a short train.
I wonder if it was like Amtrak or something. Are you a male? I was curious, Sarah, you female.
There it goes again.
I'm going to ask that question again because it was a while before the ball lit up. Are you a male? Are you a female?
Ask a confirmation question.
Yeah. Maybe it gives us a chance.
That's still lighting up.
That was a voice in the other room.
Maybe it is a ghost cat.
Maybe. Or it could be a child.
That could be.
You know, because children would run around, they wouldn't pay attention to answering your questions.
Movie.
Are you a boy? Here in the station master's office, we've been getting some activity from this little light up ball that's actually the cat toy. But it's been very random. It hasn't been really in response to any questions that we've asked. It seems to go off at random times. So what we did was we brought in the other cat ball because we've seen before cats' spirits left behind in places. And it seemed like a fairly common practice to have cats in a train station like this. So we brought in this cat ball. We're going to set this one down and see if we can get anything to move this and set off the little bell inside instead of lighting up this one over here.
All right. We got another ball for you to play with. If you hit the other ball, it'll make a little sound.
The other ball has a bell in it. Can you hit that ball and make the bell ring?
Flash.
I think I'm gonna take that REM pod and set it closer to the balls,
Okay.
right?
I'll do the
Because
same with the triangle.
set it right against there. So now we can see if anything is actually coming close to the balls. Watch that thing not light up.
It's lighting
There
up.
it is.
But what's strange, it doesn't look like it's moving.
No.
Is there a setting to change how long it takes in between that it lights up on its own?
No, it's just got one button on the top to turn it on.
And it seems so random. I would think that if it was a low battery or something, like the battery was dying, that it wouldn't happen quite so randomly.
Or wouldn't be that bright.
Yeah. Or there would be, you know, shorter periods of time in between it lighting up.
Other than the light up ball, can you make a noise for us? Matter of fact, could you repeat this noise? Do it one more time. I'm gonna knock 3 times. Can you knock 3 times back?
Heard twice on the pipe.
So the cat ball was lighting up again, but it seemed to be more random. It wasn't necessarily responding to any of the questions that we had asked. No noises were made. As far as we know, there was no voices on the voice recorder as of yet. But next, we're going to move into the freight room, see if we can get any sort of responses in there.
Well, lights on here. Freight room. I'll just roll that thing out and turn it on.
Chassis.
My name is Will.
I'm Linda.
I'm Jeff. Linda said that she felt like there was somebody here and that you perhaps worked here for a long time. We'd like to know about your experiences here. What's it like working in the freight room?
What does that sound?
It's every so often, it sounds like a single drum.
Yeah.
It's almost like when you're in a swimming pool and you hear like the filter or something bobbing underwater.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good analogy.
Oh, it must have something to do with the air conditioning system. It sounded like a footstep there in that corner. In the worked here for many years, I would imagine you would have a lot of stories. What was the funniest thing that ever happened to you?
Either during your time or before yours, were there ever any accidents here? If so, who got hurt and how?
Can you do that again to let us know it was you? Touch the bright red light. That was just there you go. That's it.
Seem to be responding when you're asking questions.
So what year do you think it is? Do you think it's some year in the 1900s? If the answer is yes, try that again. Touch the red light. Okay, is it sometime in the 1800s? The answer is yes, touch the red light. Some year in the 1800s. I'll take that as a yes.
So every once in a while, lights will come in from the outside, almost like it's kind of doing now. The light will kind of go across the door right over here. It's only happened once, but the one time it happened, I saw what looked like a top hat, and a shadow up against the wall. But the light's gone by numerous times, and it hasn't done it again since.
Some interesting things in the freight room there. The REM pod, for the first time during this investigation, it went off. The cat ball, however, did not go off once. So what's interesting is the cat ball was going off in here and the REM pod was going off in there. Now at first it seemed like the REM pod may have been giving intelligent responses, as when Linda would ask various dates, it would seem to respond to her question. But when that starts happening, you definitely want to ask a confirming question. So she got to the point where she said, do you believe it's between 1800 and 1825? And it lit up. So Linda went and asked a confirming question. She said, do you believe it's between 1826 and 1849? And sure enough, it lit up. So obviously it can't believe it's both of those dates. So it seemed like, and then after that it went off a couple more times, just seemed at random. Couple possibilities. Perhaps there's a child spirit that's just liking how it lights up. Maybe we'll get some voices on the recorder. The other possibility is it is a cat in there, but why would the cat not play with these? I can't imagine that the cat would go over and mess with this, so I'm not leaning towards that as far as the freight room is concerned. We're going to go ahead and we're going to go upstairs And upstairs is an interesting place because Linda initially got an impression of a child up there. And I also, when I was up there with the K2 meter, it was a place where there were a couple just random spikes that were there and then not again. So we're gonna go up there, take the REM pod, maybe the cat balls, and see what we can get. So what we could do here is we could have one person down this end of the hallway, one person down the far end of the hallway, and then one person just right inside this doorway here, perhaps.
Okay.
And see if we can get any communique. All right, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Linda.
Will.
And we hope it's okay with you. We came up here. We know that this is your place. If you're not okay with us being here at any point, you can let us know. Let's start with that red light that's in the middle of the floor. If you would like us to leave, can you go near that red light, touch it, and it will turn green, and we'll get out of here. Okay, if you would like us to stay, how about going near that red light, touching it, make it turn green? Give us the green light to stay. We know that some German POWs were brought through this station during the war. Will might be able to talk a little German and see if any of them are here. What do you say, Will?
Ich heiße Will.
That means my name is Will.
Was heiße Eier? Or Je m'appelle Will. What is your name? My device in here just lit up.
Is that what that was?
It's still lit up.
Yes. Still green on the left side.
Yes.
So that triangle, if you touch the left side of it, it'll turn green. I'll wait for it to go back to neutral. So that light that was just green, now it's blue. Could you touch that same side again? Make it turn green? The Kaiser will, or Je m'appelle will, or French or German. My name is Will. Can you touch that device for me again? Or I have an idea. That same side that you just touched, side that's green, let's consider that yes. The other side is red. Let's consider that no. So if I ask you a question and the answer is yes, I would like for you to touch the green side. The answer is no, I would like for you to touch the red side. So are we speaking to someone that used to live upstairs in here? Well, if you don't want to talk to us, touch it for me again. We will leave. We'll leave you alone. We won't bother you again.
I'm a Chappelle Jeff. If you could light that light up for me, we can talk to you and we can find out what you want. We can either help you or, we can leave if that's really what you want. If you don't need help, maybe you don't need help. Do you know anybody here who does need some help?
His French is a little broken.
I really find it fascinating that in every room we've gone into in this place, there's been something that's happened. But it's always different devices. And of course, when we went upstairs, then we had Will's device, the little triangle thing going off. It went off once up there, and it was just kind of random. It did it that one time, and then it stopped. We couldn't get it to happen again. But with all this light up activity, that makes us, of course, wonder what we've got on the digital voice recorder. So, interesting place upstairs. We do believe that there is something up there. Maybe it's a little more shy than the ones who are down here, but who knows?
So down here in this room, we had the cat toy lighting up. We go into the freight room, we had the REM pod lighting up. We go upstairs, and this began lighting up on one side, but only did it the one time. So in each room, we've had a different device lighting up, and it seems to be, it would just kind of test it to see what it was doing, but then it wouldn't really answer intelligently to what we were asking. This particular device, to separate it from the REM pod, it's actually very similar. You have to physically break the field around it in order for it to set it off. A bug won't do it. Change in air temperature or weather or anything like that won't do it. You have to physically be close to it. And the setting that I had, it had to have been right here in order for it to light up green, like it did. So something came across this. Don't know what it was, but it only did it the one time. So hopefully we can be able to look back at the voice recorder, see if maybe we got a response.
So a lot of the equipment did go off in various rooms. And what's interesting is on an investigation like this, we could leave and go over the audio and get nothing, or we could go over the audio and find that someone's been talking to us the whole time, in which case we may have to come back and see if we can give a response to those answers or to whatever is said on the tapes. Now there's a few possibilities here that could come through. As I said, there was a lot of activity here with people, especially with the war, with people saying goodbye to their loved ones. There were POWs that were brought through here, German POWs. Even though the train station was built post-Civil War, there was Civil War activity very close to here, and quite probably troop movements that came right through where this train station is now standing. So we could even get voices from spirits that were here before the station was built. A lot of times, I always tell people that sometimes a new house can be built and it'll be haunted. And people wonder why, like how could a new house be haunted? And it's because of something that happened on the land before. So spirits are not just attached to a location, to a specific building, but sometimes to a land. So numerous things we could get. The fun part is going through all that audio and listening for any possible sounds, any possible anomalies that came through that weren't tagged. It's time for the evidence reveal.